Coming up on this episode of FP Next.
Meet with us in 3 months in amazing Orlando and talk through everything what you're thinking about, what you think your business is challenging or questions you have. Got inspiration, got a lot of market insights, and just feel to you that you belong to this amazing industry full of fantastic, powerful women. So welcome.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to this deep dive episode of FP Next, powered by John Deere. I'm one of your co-hosts, Sarah McNaughton-Peterson, and I'm here with Kurt Arns.
Hi, Sarah. Yes, we're powered by John Deere. So for all of your equipment and technology needs, see your local Deere dealer.
You know, Kurt, we've had some crazy weather patterns coming in all across the country in these last couple weeks. And of course, there was a devastating weather event that hit North Dakota about a week and a half ago where 13 tornadoes were confirmed. There was a derecho, there's 3 fatalities, not even including the damages that happened to farm buildings, cattle. But you guys have had some crazy weather down in Nebraska this spring and summer, haven't you?
Yeah, we really have. I know social media kind of blew up with some photos, really crazy photos of some big tornadoes south of North Platte. And that was just a couple days after I was through there actually doing some stories. And then we've had some flooding in Grand Island too, just 6 inches of rain in just a really short period. And it's really, those tornadoes in North Dakota are so tragic when there's life lost. And then also, the toll it takes on livestock and farms and everything. It's just really horrific. But 'tis the season, I guess.
It always seems to be that like predictably cyclical weather patterns. And even if you look through like Facebook memories from years earlier, it's tornado season. And we're not built for tornadoes up here. So bless of those listeners who are in the South and in Tornado Alley, because we're not made for it up in the Northland. We're made for blizzards.
Right. Yeah, that's what we're more used to, I guess we should say. But the weather patterns are something that farmers are always interested in, and I guess that makes one of our guests today. It's pretty good timing for that.
Absolutely. And of course, we've got our favorite crystal ball here, as we call him, joining us today, Gary Lezak, who's a meteorologist and founder of Weather 2020. And he's going to give us some insights to see if we can be expecting more storms like that coming in the future and what the drought's going to look like for the majority of the country. Gary, so great to have you back on FP Next. And we've got some weather stuff that's been going on, at least here in the Northland. I know Kurt's sitting, as we're recording, dealing with some storms and some flooding in Nebraska. And of course, we just had a tornado and derecho event hit North Dakota. But you were chatting a little bit about how you saw this on your LRC. So can you tell me a little bit about kind of what you saw in the weather patterns and maybe what we can expect if we're going to have more tornadic activity?
Yeah, sure. Thank you very much for having me on, guys. And let's have a discussion about it. It's really fascinating. Just a little background. I know we've talked a few times. The weather pattern that we are cycling through right now set up last October. So there's a reason why around October 5th, 6th, or 7th, I will showcase how that's a day one of this year's pattern. But then it repeats over and over again. We find out what that repeat is. And this year has been roughly 6 weeks or just under 6 weeks, maybe 40, 41 days has been pretty good number to use to make predictions. 38 to 44 days is really what the pattern's sort of cycling in that range. But what's amazing, it's not 38, it's not 44. That middle number, 41, is the date to use. So what just happened in North Dakota is one of the 2 signature parts of the weather pattern that has been cycling through producing severe weather every 40 to 41 days. There's one part of the pattern that had a major tornado outbreak December 28th, another one March 14th, 15th. Then that returned 40 days later around, that would be April 27th. And then that returned in early June. And so that's one part of the pattern that has produced in all 7 LRC cycles this year, severe weather. The other part of the pattern is what I call the Kansas City blizzard part of the pattern, because Kansas City had a rare 11-inch snowstorm and blizzard on January the 5th. While the snowstorm was going on, there was a severe weather outbreak in Louisiana, Arkansas, Mississippi on January 5th also. And then you fast forward into cycle by cycle, around February the 15th, there was severe weather again. Around March, the end of March, there's severe weather again. And then that part of the pattern has produced. And they're sort of back to back. So what just happened in North Dakota with the derecho, the tornadoes, there were a few fatalities. That was right on schedule, and we had made a prediction that that would produce severe weather, with North Dakota being on the northern edge of it on the first day of summer. Whereas later this summer, when it returns, yes, the part of the pattern that just produced that is going to return at the end of July and early August. The potential for it to produce severe weather is significant, but will it be in that same exact spot? Possibly. It could be near the US Canada border. We'll see. But regardless, we have to watch July 28th to August 5th for when that pattern returns. But that severe weather event and the beneficial rainfall from it, you guys tell me, was it beneficial rainfall you guys have had in the last month?
Gary, in our country, it was so dry last fall, combine fires and just all kinds of problems. And into spring, too, we had a pretty dry winter. So the rains going into right now that we've had, yes, there's been a lot of flooding, up to 6 inches in Grand Island last night, I believe, and a lot of flooding. But the rains here have been very beneficial. And I mean, anytime, my dad used to say, anytime you go into the July 4th week, right, and you're wet, where you don't have to worry about the fireworks, starting a fire out in the field or something, he always worried about that kind of stuff. You're in great shape. I mean, that sets you up really good for tasseling and stuff. And that's kind of where we are. So I feel like, and I don't know how widespread it's been, but it's been widespread enough that we've moved the drought monitor a little bit. And boy, it sets a lot of people up for some pretty decent, that mid-season is going to be okay with moisture wise, it seems like.
Yeah, at Weather 2020, we often talk about how it's good when the farmers get into July and you're not worried about drought yet. Because there's only another month, a very important growing season ahead. Yeah, it still could be a problem if a major heat wave were to develop and it were to dry out. We still could lose crops, but it's always a good sign that we're not going to when we've gotten this far, right? So it takes the pressure off of me, the meteorologist, because I try to be 100% accurate, and it's not up to me. This year's pattern, though, has been spot on cycling, producing, and our model, the LRC model with that dashboard that we have available for people to use, has been accurate. It did showcase that there will be 80 to 90% of average in some areas, and those areas could still struggle. There are always some areas that might lose their crops, even right next to a county that has had absolutely perfect bumper crop conditions. So there's, especially during the summer, because it gets a little more spotty when the jet stream lifts north.
I know it's always like that old adage, if you don't like the weather, wait 10 minutes. I think you joked about that last time you were on. But, there's a new US drought monitor released today. And there's a lot less red through the high plains in the Midwest, but it's still kind of those southern areas down into Texas, Arizona, New Mexico. Is your cycle saying anything about relief for those really extreme drought areas?
Yeah, in Texas and New Mexico, we have fireworks customers. And as Kurt had just said a little while ago, we're sometimes concerned about fireworks bans because it's so dry. The only areas of concern are Southwest Texas and parts of New Mexico. It's usually a dry area anyway, but our customers have been, we gave the forecast. We thought that would be the biggest struggle area because, as we've talked about, droughts are either shrinking or they're growing. And this one, from really the winter on, for the plains, for the corn belt, for the wheat regions, for the dairy farms, the drought areas have either been eliminated or have been shrinking. The D3 became a D2, which is becoming a D1 over parts of Nebraska. Yeah, I haven't looked at this latest monitor that you just looked at, but and then Southwest Texas, New Mexico, that area actually was actually slightly increasing. So you know that that's going to continue to be a struggle area. But our fireworks customers, one of which is TNT Fireworks, they're a big one. They are very happy because they're going to probably have millions and millions and millions of dollars in sales. Sometimes when there's going to be a drought ban, they'll take $1 million worth of fireworks out of New Mexico and put them in North Dakota, okay? Because there's not going to be a drought ban there, and they'll sell them. So that's how we use weather information for fireworks, for agriculture, for other verticals, and I'm doing my hardest to get our system out there. I haven't had that. We have the crystal ball, but I haven't had that crystal ball product yet that is absolutely perfect. And I know we have the capability, if you guys have any ideas, of having that product developed the next year, because the LRC provides this blueprint of what's going to happen, and it happens.
Yeah, you better be careful on how accurate you are. Otherwise, people are going to think that you actually do make the weather. You know what I mean? We should talk about the Eastern Corn Belt has been kind of wet. We talk about knee-high corn by the 4th, and that used to be the old adage, and anymore it's, usually head high, by the 4th. But boy, there's going to be some fields in the Eastern Corn Belt that are probably going to struggle to make that knee-high thing. They've had some really wetness this spring. What is the outlook for them moving into July and August for our Eastern Corn Belt producers?
Well, way back in the flood of '93, it hit mid to late June into the first half of July, and we ended up with the 6 to 8 inch rain on complexes night after night after night after night. And that's how the flood of '93 happened. And the Mississippi River and the Missouri rivers got way out of their banks, and it was a major, major flood. That's a long time ago. We don't see anything like that at all this year, but there are spots that are going to continue to get hit. But it should dry out enough. So the areas that have too much water should not have too much water soon. With the jet stream retreating north, but there's still going to be consistent rains, and that'll be good. I think it's going to be good. And I thought the adage was as high as your eye by 4th of July. Is that right?
Not around here. It was knee high
Okay.
by the 4th.
Right.
That's what everybody used to.
Maybe that's farther south.
We've got a shorter growing season up here in the north, as you very well know. So maybe we are just shooting for 4th of July knee high because the snow was there 2 months earlier. And then I know Kurt was talking a little bit with our farm manager out at Husker Harvest Days and talking a little bit about kind of like the flash flooding and flooding Nebraska's gotten from all of this rain. In your crystal ball, because Gary, all the times I joke with people about asking if they have a crystal ball in your office, you're the closest one to that crystal ball. And like Kurt said, maybe you do make the weather. Who knows? But what do you think it's going to be looking like? Do you think the moisture is going to kind of like level off? Does the weather really ever hit the rain spots where it's dry and like leave the wet spots alone? Does that ever happen?
It does, but very rarely. If you're in a zone where you're getting wet, there's a reason for it, and it's usually the reasoning can be the LRC. That's this year's pattern set up really well for your area if you've been getting consistent rains. And then, as I said, a county away, one of those would be north central Kansas. There was just 6 to 8 inches of rain also 2 days ago. And the county I wanted it to happen in for one of my customers, the Oldie Dairy Farm, their county got missed again. And they're worried about their crop, of losing their crops. And yet, right nearby, it's absolutely too much rain, and it's going to end up being just right. But they could get hit. There are more opportunities. As long as there's a lot of opportunities, it's going to shift a little bit. So some of the counties that have been dry will likely get wet, but July and August are always a wild card. I love seeing what I'm seeing because the next 2 weeks, which takes us right towards the middle of July, these rain patterns are continuing. So it's not like suddenly it's a heat wave and that's the end of the rain. It is not doing that. So at least for the first half of July. The second half of July and August, what happens is the jet stream. This is every year. The jet stream gets weaker and reaches its weakest point and farthest north position at the last week of July, first week of August. That's why it ends up being the hottest time of the year. If you look at your averages, most areas, the hottest time of the year is the end of July, early August, and then those averages start coming down because the jet stream starts strengthening at that point. So that's why slightly different results will start happening. It could suddenly just stop raining. It's done that before in August. But by then, you might have had your crop made. I'm just saying it's not as much pressure as July is. So I like what I see in the next 2 weeks. And what happened right now with these tremendous rains around Grand Island, as you said, around northwest Missouri the other day, the summer monsoon. The monsoon means seasonal wind. Just so you know what monsoon really means. So in India, they have this monsoon, and it's a seasonal wind. And all of a sudden, one part of the country that's completely dry gets very, very wet, and that's normal in their seasonal monsoon. The summer monsoon in the United States usually sends thunderstorms and moisture out of Mexico into New Mexico, Arizona, Utah, and Colorado. That's where the summer monsoon sets up. So far this season, it didn't even start there. It immediately got diverted northeast into southern Nebraska, northern Kansas, and Missouri and Iowa. And so that's been added moisture to an already wet pattern. So some of those spots getting very heavy rain, one of which could be Kansas City tonight, which I hope, because Kansas City all of a sudden is dry. But the summer monsoon is interacting with the LRC at this moment. And it's predictable, but it's another one of those tough predictions.
Well, we've covered kind of the Eastern Corn Belt and the Western Corn Belt. How about the Southwest and the Southeast areas?
Yeah, Southwest. It's interesting. It's often dry, Susan. It gets this time of the year, but that monsoon moisture is coming up across there, so they're going to get some rains in the next couple of weeks as well. It'll just be heavier across Iowa, I think. And then the southeastern areas, you always have to look for the tropics as the tropics get rolling to see if any tropical systems. There's no signs of those yet. I'm expecting one around July 10th to 15th to develop possibly in the Gulf of Mexico. That's the one we're expecting around August 22nd, related to Hurricane Raphael from November of last year. Again, here's how it works. Raphael, a hurricane, on November 8th, tracked out of the Caribbean into the Gulf of Mexico, was a Category 3 hurricane in November in the Gulf, which is rare. And then it died. It died because the waters were turning cooler and the cold front came through and killed it. But that is due to return. That part of the pattern returns July 10th, 11th or so, and August 22nd, give or take a week or so on either side. So we'll be looking for a system there that could spread moisture towards the southeastern Corn Belt. Otherwise, these fronts are going to get down into there, and there's still going to be chances of rain and thunderstorms for the southeast Corn Belt too. I'd have to go see exactly what our model is predicting, but no major drought or heat wave, this whole summer.
Well, Gary, I think we've pretty much covered a lot of the country, what's going to be going on. But what's kind of your final thoughts, final elevator speech of an outlook until we talk to you again in the beginning of fall?
It's the same but different, as the late Gary England said. And it's the same but different. So it's the same pattern that's going to continue through July and August. We're going to get the July version. We're going to get the August version, just like we got the January version and the February version. So similar things will continue to happen. Lake Tahoe just had 8 fatalities from a boat that overturned. The water temperatures there are 55 degrees. So I don't know how those people died, but it just sounds horrific. And they were on the lake when what I would call an LRC storm came through. In other words, if there is a calendar that I can create in the next year, maybe that'll be the product I need to make, that every lake and every Gulf Coast state, everyone should have it. So if it's red, there would have been red on that calendar for June 22nd, 21st in Lake Tahoe. and in Idaho where it snowed for the fifth time in 7 cycles. And it would have said, don't go out on the lake on these days. And maybe 8 lives would have been saved because they were out on the lake when that storm hit. It was very abrupt. And you're like, oh, that's unpredictable. I don't agree. I think it's predictable, at least to the point where maybe today we shouldn't go out. It's got red on that calendar. Okay? Just maybe. It might just be a 3-day stretch. Or they pay more attention. Like, is there a storm coming in today? That's not a normal storm. So that happened. The North Dakota storm happened. Things like this are happening all over the place, including we're recording this on the day we're recording this. There's an event possible in Kansas City tonight. Okay, and if you go back to October 24th, there was a localized severe weather event in Kansas City with lots of trees down. No, it wasn't major, but lots of trees down, lots of severe weather right around Kansas City. And tonight, there's a chance of thunderstorms. It would be red on the calendar, all right? It's 246 days later. 246 is 41 times 6. Exactly. So it's not going to be a coincidence when there's going to be some severe weather or heavy rain in Kansas City tonight. But the same things are going to happen. I know I'm getting a little long, but just know it's pretty amazing. I put a lot of pressure on myself. We are quite accurate, but it's far from perfect. It's still predicting the future.
Yeah, the same but different, isn't that's just about right when it comes to our weather. Well,
Yeah,
Gary, we sure want to thank you for joining us and looking into your crystal ball. It's always a very interesting, and what I like is you don't just explain why, what happens, but also why it happens. And I think that's kind of cool too. And our certainly our farmer producers appreciate that as well.
that's great. And then Kurt, one way to follow it, I have people that have been following us for 2 decades, and on our Substack, now with Substack, it's cool. You just go to weather2020.substack.com for your introduction. It's less than $1 a day. It does cost $300 a year, but you get that and you follow me and my discussions. You'll, after about 6 months or a year, you're going to go, wow, how come no one else does this? And so that's what I hope you say anyway.
Absolutely. And of course, as always, Gary, thank you for joining us. And those links will be in the episode description. So if you want to look out and get Gary's crystal ball, as we like to call it, you can check out the link in the episode below.
Thank you, guys.
So, Gary, thank you again for joining us. And now, Kurt, we're switching over to the main topic of the day, another installment of our Women in the Field episode series, where we're talking all things women in agribusiness.
Yes, we're excited to continue this series, visiting with inspiring women in the field from across the country. So we started out the series with Ag with Emma, and so now we've got a really great guest today too.
So, Lana, tell us a little bit about your background and how you got started in women in agribusiness.
Hi, Sarah. Hi, Kurt. Hello, everyone. My name is Lana Sinkowska. It's funny that actually I started my whole professional life in agribusiness 20 years ago, just after graduating university. I started to work in a company called APK Inform, and it's the biggest ag consulting company in Eastern Europe. And I've spent there 15 years, from marketologist to co-owner and marketing director. And also, like all these 20 years, I've been involved in different kind of activities across the whole value chain for ag consulting and media. I was an editor. I was a journalist writing articles to many international media on ag. I also was co-founder and secretary general of International Sunflower Oil Association. It's a long story. Yeah, it was a cool experience actually to do something like on association level internationally. I traveled to more than 50 countries promoting Black Sea grains, oilseeds, vegetable oils. And when in 2022 I moved to Europe and then to United States, it's all my connections, my amazing, huge international network of ag people. So after that experience, I also been consulting several inputs companies in United States and Europe on different go-to-market strategy, marketing strategy, etc., etc. So I got this, and I also was 2 years a part of Fast Markets. It's very like famous company in commodities business, and I was in charge for the biggest ag trading conference called Global Green Geneva. And when I got this amazing offer from Women in Ag in the end of 2024. I couldn't say no because I myself, woman in ag, and I do believe very much in this mission of this event to support and to create this new era for women in ag, when ag is not just a male business anymore as it was 20 years ago when I was started. Now you see much more successful, very powerful female leaders, and I'm happy to be a part of this movement and support in all possible way.
Your range of experience is just fantastic. I mean, not just in the US, but all over the world, and range of, your knowledge base is just so awesome that you bring a lot to the Women in Agribusiness, post. But before we dig into that, Sarah and I always like to ask about food because we're kind of foodie people. So if, in your experiences in traveling all over the world, what would be a couple of your favorite cafes or someplace to eat? I bet
Oh
you
my
have some
gosh.
favorites.
Oh yeah, I'm very picky, but it's maybe good. I don't know, is it good or bad? But it's always like my mom always said like, oh my gosh, it's not possible to feed you because you never. So as soon as I started to travel, of course, Italy. Of course, whenever you go to Italy and you try like real cappuccino and real pizza and all, I remember me sipping this cappuccino in the center of Rome after the conference where I was a speaker in the venue, which is 2,000 years old. It's Adrian. It's like unbelievable. And I'm sipping this cappuccino and I understand it's like the best coffee. It's unbelievably good. So I'm calling my husband and cry and say, how I don't know, my life changed before and after because this taste is like life changing. So I'm a big fan of Italian food. I'm a big fan in general of Mediterranean food because I'm not like a very meat eater. I'm more like a veggie. In China, they gave me a nickname, Chala Zhen, which calls salad person. No kidding. So yeah, I like everything. And here, I think United States, I like California because they have all the varieties of organic, greenery, juicy salad things. So yeah, I'm that kind of person. No, yeah, I know not enough proteins. I know I'm struggling, but I love salads, good coffee, and good pizza.
I love that. And hey, cheese got the protein too. So I'm sure you're getting the protein in
Counts.
that
It
way.
counts.
Well, Kurt, I don't know if we're going to be able to make it to Italy on our food tour like we were planning about, but that sounds fantastic. That sounds like amazing. And another thing I want to dive into is talking a little bit more about women in agribusiness. If somebody had never heard of the organization, how would you describe it to them?
I would describe it as absolutely unique and one of the kind. And I know what I'm talking about because I've been speaking on more than 200 conferences for whole my life. And I see how events, even at business event, they are like very different. Some are very content based, some are very like networking based, but Women in Ag is something in between. It's a very unique combination of very strong networking opportunities and very hardcore, deep market insights. And me personally, we even make it even stronger. So, what we're trying to do this year, we're trying to make content even heavier, even more like insightful. One interesting thing about this event, it's I don't know, should I tell this story, but it's an amazing story. First time I heard about this event, it was London. It was GAFTA Dinner 2024, and I was talking in the restroom, just fixing my makeup with Alejandra Castillo from NAIGA, no, North American Ag Association. And we were just chatting about. I said I live now in the United States. She's like, "Oh, you should go to this amazing event. It's fantastic. It's Women in Ag. It will be in Denver." And so, what it means, London, another part of the world, means that we created absolutely global brand with unique DNA, famous globally, and brand which makes some random women telling another woman like it's must go to you. So this is a marketology dream come true. This is something from the marketing, student book. This whole story, and I very much believe that to create such a strong brand, it's a huge, huge win because we live in an extremely competitive world. If we talk about agribusiness, we have like thousands of events globally, hundreds or even thousands in United States. And when event it stands out, when it has such a loud voice and so much supported by the industry, by people, that people become willingly like unconscious ambassadors. So that lady, she acted like an ambassador, but she was a delegate there. That's it. And she will be a speaker this year, of course. Yeah. So it's amazing for me to see that it's something more than just a business story. It's a movement. It's it's a lot of passion around this brand, and that actually what attracted me. We all deep inside want to change this world for better. Some of us more, some less. We hear this voice louder when we're younger. When we grow up, we became more cynical. But I think for me, it's still an opportunity to realize that part of me, like change the world, make it better, to make this social impact mission, if you wish. And of course it's very business event, it's very market heavy, and I will be able to fulfill my mission, and I will be able to hopefully change some life of some successful or young or beginning female leaders, and I think it's amazing.
So what is, I know the organization is like 13 years old, like began around
14. Yeah,
2012. Okay, it's
14.
2012. So can you tell us just a little bit about the evolution, the history of women in agribusiness?
Yeah, it started very interesting. It was a global ag investment event. It was a big, also famous event, belonged then to Highquest Group, and they just pitched the idea of it. Actually, if it was pitched by one of the delegates after the conference, wow, let's do something like that, but for females. And it was actually initially started from 100, 150 people, and in 14 years we have more than 1,000 delegates. It's really amazing growth, and what is absolutely unique about this event that you have delegates across the whole value chain. It's absolutely amazing to see the full industry representation, from farmers, from inputs, distributors, media, consulting, processing, egg giants like Cargill, Bunge, all these, big companies, food industry, meat. So that it's like a model, it's like a small model of the whole ag sector of the United States. What is also cool about the event that now it became more than a conference. It's a membership. We have members. We have a couple of fantastic initiatives. It's a Demeter Award when we nominate prominent women every year. We have free nominations for women in ag. We have student scholarship, and it's something absolutely fantastic because every year 30 students have an opportunity to join the event for free, just to be surrounded by successful women and feel themselves that they belong to this industry. And for all these years, it's more than 400 students already were able to join. And one of them is working for our team, Reagan. And we just trying to track and to see how they were able to find a job and how their life changed after that experience. So it's not a conference, it's a big event, which is like 1,000 delegates. It's really very big conference for ag, and it's a lot of different kind of initiatives and activities. We also have meetups in between in different regions of United States, and also the brand is already ready to be even more international. So we're about to launch a global edition in 2026 in Amsterdam.
That just sounds fantastic. I know we've heard from several people on our team that we've had on the podcast before. I've attended or moderated panels there, and they just have nothing but great things to say about it. So I'm excited to get to come to the
Yeah.
14th Summit. It is September 22nd through the 24th in 2025 in Orlando. And so I'm super excited to come to my first event. But if other people are wanting to attend, what else is kind of on the docket for this upcoming summit?
Yeah, first of all, I would like to thank Sarah for accepting our invitation to moderate a panel. And actually, it's one of my favorite topics is inputs markets and all this fluctuation and changes and events we have happening there. So thank you, Sarah. And I do believe that this year we want to highlight the scope of the topics we're going to cover. So, on top of our traditional professional development topics and markets, this year we will talk a lot about commodities markets. I myself came from commodities markets. I'm very much rooting for the deep fundamental approach to data. So, we will have a lot of cool speakers like Karen Brown, legend, Emily, French legend, Pam Marone for ag innovations, some really globally famous female stars, let's call them as they are. Also, we will be talking a lot about such important topics as weather impact, risks management, meat and poultry market trends. Also, it's very important to highlight that this year we have a sustainable aviation panel, which is new for us, but we're going to go really deep into the whole topic of biofuels and regulation, and in particular about sustainable aviation fuel market changes. Also, we going to talk a lot about our traditional topics like professional development. About we will have farm panel, which is traditional panel, and it's already famous, get a lot of fans. So I do believe that this year we will have even more cool market insights and content. We already confirmed about 90% of our speakers. So if you go on our website, you will see almost final agenda, and it looks amazing. We will have about 60 speakers in general. Also, this year we expect a delegation from Brazil. So we're now finalizing and discuss how many people will be there, and also will be interesting on international part. And traditionally, we have farm tours where we have all this yoga morning yoga, all these separate and additional lunches and dinners, all the entertainment part, which is important part of our event. So what I can guarantee that this year it will be fun, it will be super insightful, it will be full of new contacts, and definitely delegates will have opportunity to meet all friends, because this industry, like, many people know each other and keep this networking. It's important to meet people from time face to face. You communicate. So we won't disappear, because Orlando is fantastic, venue, fantastic place to go. So welcome, join us, and let's have these 3 amazing days in Orlando, full of market insight, networking, communications, and fun.
Absolutely, and Orlando would be a pretty good place, I think, for that too.
Yeah.
You talked a lot about I mean, what a wide range of topics you're covering, and of course, you have to hit Sarah's session that she's moderating. But one of the really big benefits, among the benefits of attending, is kind of the networking thing, which is kind of what you started talking about, is networking with each other. I mean, that is a big deal, isn't it? And that is one of the really great benefits of being in the same place.
Yeah, like I'm a big believer in networking, and I think it's something that you can't be successful professionally if you don't have expanded network, and if you don't know how to build and keep your network, warm and alive. It's like your village. As also, like, it's your village, it's your people. I like the saying, I will quote it again: people who will say your name in the room full of opportunities. So this is exactly how I think we should approach, and we should be these people for someone else, for someone in our network. We should always support them, even if they're not around. What I do believe we're trying to do this year, we are having a new delegates app, so it will be even easier for delegates to make this matchmaking and understand and pre-select and pre-organize this meeting and check on the people they would like to meet in advance. Because if we talk about 1,000 delegates, it could be a little bit challenging just to even find the people you need and want to talk. So what is a cool thing but challenging thing about big events, like really big, it's not like 300 when you literally can talk to majority of people for a couple of days. But for 1,000 delegates, will be happy to get all the support from this app. Plus, this idea when we divide delegates for some breakout session to smaller group for all these on-site and off-site events for the smaller group, it's an additional opportunity. Just you can chat to someone during morning yoga, you could chat to other group of people on the bus when you just go into the farm tour, and it's also this additional tools when we on some points divide delegates into smaller group. Of course, we also want them to network and to to communicate more because it's easier when you're on the bus or you're in the smaller room. So yeah, all these layers, we think a lot. It's all a lot of thinking behind to make this event extremely useful from networking point of view for our delegates.
So you've already kind of answered my next question because it sounds like the main benefits are like those education, those panels, and that networking. But are there any other benefits to attending this summit that you didn't touch on? We didn't already kind of chat on a little bit.
I think it's inspiration because I do believe that there is something what you can't explain, but I think events like that, they give you this, inspiration, because when you're in the room of 1,000 successful, smiling, supportive women, when you're surrounded by professionals. And we have, by the way, more than 30% of delegates are C-level delegates. So I do believe it creates the whole vibe, the whole atmosphere when you feel like you belong, when you feel like it's a power behind you and you're surrounded by the powerful, inspirational women. So I do believe there is something that we all need from time to time, especially when many of us like work from home or we just separated by distance, etc. It's to be in one room with very similar people to us, with like have feel this community, feel this unity, and feel this mission combining us together. So I do believe that inspiration, this is something that delegates definitely could get.
Plus, it isn't too many conferences that you, at least not like this, that you get an international experience, because these are people from all over the world. Am I right about
Yeah.
that? Yeah, so that, I mean, that is, so you get different perspectives on agribusiness, different roles, and that probably helps us all in understanding each other too, right?
Yeah, and this year, like I always said, like agribusiness is a global business. Like ag is very international because the whole ag is built on exports and imports, and it's a lot of flows. The United States of America is one of the biggest exporters of ag products, and it's important for this event to be very much internationally focused. And we have some foreign speakers. We last year had delegates from 9 countries, so we expect it will be also not on top on Brazilian delegation, some European guests, etc. So it's very important to keep, and we have a couple of sessions like Emily French presentation will be very much focused on global angle of the agribusiness, because it's what is funny about agribusiness when, for example, farmers somewhere in Argentina have bad crop for soybean, US farmer feels it. When farmers somewhere in Russia have good crop for wheat, American farmer feels it. So this is the cool, and it creates a lot of opportunities for information for media, because it's very global, and to be informed and to know what's going on globally is extremely important for everyone who is in agribusiness in the United States.
Absolutely. I know I like you touch on the inspiring aspect because, of course, this episode is one of our Women in the Field episode series. We're featuring women from across the country and across the globe who are inspiring and have some cool stories. And you're, of course, one of those, Lana. And it sounds like that's exactly going to be the kind of people who are attending this summit.
Yeah, and there are, so what I also like about agribusiness, that the quality, the scale of personalities you can meet there, the people with amazing stories, like some super successful C-level leaders who have their own range of farm and who like represent, they're not just doing business in ag, they have huge passion in ag, they understand every aspect on it. So it's really cool because the opportunity for you to meet inspirational people, to meet people whose business or personal stories could change your life, and you will return full of ideas, full of inspiration, and full of thinking like, okay, I'm like on the right path. I'm in the good industry. Like I'm doing things right. And I always believe, because we have quite challenging time this year for ag for many reasons. Don't even get me started with weather on tariffs or whatever. I do believe whatever industry fit in a little bit of like stormy mood, it's extremely important for people to meet and talk, because one company could have that hedging strategy, that another company has another one. But when people exchange ideas and they network and they brainstorm together, it creates a lot of amazing ideas and amazing opportunities to have a new successful strategy. So my always advice, whenever like stormy or more volatile year, from my experience, it always is spike and delegates in events, because people, I think we subconsciously understand whenever we have like challenges, even small challenges, we need just to sit and speak it, like, and talk it to the people who are in the same position. And this is how we feel better. And this is how we find solution and see situation on different angle. So yeah, that's the power of human communications.
And a lot of times, you don't feel so isolated if you can go
Yeah.
through volatile times together, so that and all the good ideas kind of surface through, and it seems like, it helps everyone in the
Yeah.
room, and if you can share that experience. So as we kind of start wrapping up, what is your final elevator pitch for folks attending this summit? Because, they're interested, but they just aren't quite convinced. So if they're on the fence, what are you going to say to them to get them to be sure and attend?
Well, first of all, I think it's definitely the event, like cancel your wedding and come. Definitely one of that kind of event, just you can't miss it. We have this year collaboration with Delta, so you will be able to save some money on your ticket too. So I think it's amazing moment just to book this event and, meet with us in 3 months in amazing Orlando and talk through everything, what you're thinking about, what you think your business is challenging or questions you have. Got inspiration, got a lot of market insights, and just feel to you that you belong to this amazing industry full of fantastic, powerful women. So welcome.
Absolutely. And Kurt, we always say it's not what you know, it's who you know. And I think that's especially true in the agriculture
Yeah.
industry. I mean, that's how I ended up at Farm Progress, is somebody spit my name out and I ended up being the right fit. And so I think it's such a cool opportunity. And I'm super excited to go to Orlando, leave the cows, leave the horses, leave all the things here behind, and just kind of come and hang out at this really cool summit and super cool event. So Lana, thank you so much. And as always, all of those links will be in the episode description. So if you want to find out more, the website will be linked as well as the link to sign up.
Thank you. Thank you, Kurt. Thank you, Sarah. And looking forward to see you in Orlando.
Well, Kurt, that about wraps it up for this deep dive episode of FP Next powered by John Deere. Thanks again to Lana and Gary for joining us on today's episode.
And to our listeners, we want to thank you for tuning into this episode of FP Next, allowing us into your tractor cab, your truck, on your farm, in your shop, and in your fields. A special thank you, as always, goes out to our sales, digital, production, and marketing team members who put in a lot of work with us. And if you want to be sure not to miss any top stories, sign up for our Farm Progress text blasts, which bring the hot stories right to your inbox.
And of course, you can sign up for those text alerts by texting FARM, FARM, to 20505. And sometimes FP Next is on that text blast. So make sure you sign up and follow Farm Progress on social media to stay up to date with ag news and more. And check out the digital edition of your regional publications at farmprogress.com. And don't forget, we're still doing an episode every week with our From the Fields episode series. And we're heading south next week. So I think we're going to hear about a little different growing conditions than our previous guests.
Yes, we're excited to continue to share those crop conditions kind of live from the field and from the farm with all of our listeners, and we hope you enjoy hearing what's going on around the country with a lot of different crops as much as we do.
Absolutely. And remember, you can follow along with FP Next by listening and subscribing on your favorite podcast platform or YouTube online. And if you're on YouTube, leave us a comment of what crop conditions are looking like maybe in your area, or what you think of our guests, or your favorite joke me and Kurt are always making from the episode. If you're listening on a podcast platform, go ahead and subscribe if you enjoy us even a little bit. It really helps us out and gets more farmers and ranchers listening to our episodes. And so we really appreciate if you take the time to do that. And as always, we'd like to hear from you. Like I said, leave a comment, shoot us an email. We'd love to hear from you. And again, we chatted a little bit about the pyramid scheme we're going to try to come up with. And so if you like the podcast as much as we do, share a favorite episode with a friend, and they might find their new favorite podcast too.
Yeah, Sarah, you always say 5 stars or nothing, and send your favorite episode to a friend. And then also, if you have a topic that we'd like to cover or a special guest that you think might work, you can always drop us a line for that as well.
Absolutely. And remember, if it's agriculture, your friends at Farm Progress have you covered. Here's wishing you high yields and good weather. We'll see you next time.